All right, this is lesson one for chapter 27, A Time of Challenge and Change. In the overview, which you haven't read that, I talked about the big ideas as this is the beginning of the Cold War, of NATO, the United Nations, and the fear of communism. Well, maybe not the beginning of it, but certainly I would say the heights of it in the United States. And Truman is reelected, we'll see. But this lesson itself is called The Economy Changes. So one of our learning targets is to explain changes in the economy after World War II. Again, what is the economy? It's just basically the money situation or the money system. Okay, anything related to money has something to do with the economy. All right. So for our words, on the left, we got decline, say decline, change to a lower level. So if something is going lower, it is declining. Now you might be thinking of like a credit card being declined. It's not being allowed. That's another definition. But if something's like on a slope and going down, that's declining. Incline and be going up. So things are on a decline or on an incline. Okay, incline is to go up, decline is to go down. All right. Next word is white collar. Say white collar, a name used to describe office workers and professionals. So the two basic categories of workers are white collar and blue collar. I myself am a white collar worker. To make a living, I do not dig ditches or do manual labor. Instead, I'm obviously right now sitting down and talking to you guys. And so that makes me certainly a white collar worker or a professional teacher. Okay. Okay, big ideas. How did the economy change after the war? That's a question. Skipping through, what was the GI Bill? Says that word white collar there being used. Again, these are the years, the whole chapter. How did farming help the economy? And then we got a review, so it's not a very long one. I'll read about the GI Bill of Rights. Okay. During World War II, the federal government focused the nation's economic resources on winning the war against Germany and Japan. When the war ended, the government faced serious economic problems at home. Okay, so we put all of our energy into winning this war, right? Making tanks and planes and all kinds and weapons. And now things are going to change because all of a sudden not everybody is being utilized. And I've talked to you before about in times of war, like it or hate it, it's good for the economy. Okay, it puts people to work, and everybody seems to be doing well. As bad as that sounds, maybe. Okay, economically anyway. Here we go. How did the economy change after the war? The first problem was the fear of unemployment. Remember, unemployment is not having a job. The war effort had provided plenty of jobs for Americans at home. Now, 12 million men and women in the military would be demobilized or returned home to civilian life. Most of these people would be looking for work. In 1946, Congress passed the Full Employment Act. For the first time in American history, the federal government took responsibility for trying to help the economy provide jobs for the American people. As feared, when wartime production ended, the economy rapidly declined. However, this quickly changed. Americans wanted to buy cars, household products, and new homes. Few of these were produced during the war years. Okay, so it's kind of both things going on here, right? All of a sudden, you have 12 million people that need a job. But the good thing is we became more of a consumer economy. And we bought more of our own stuff at this point. And that demand kept the economy going. Okay, so instead of them all producing tanks and planes, all of a sudden they're producing things like automobiles. Okay, so that created jobs by making those things. And it's kind of weird to think about, but buying things is actually very good for the economy. It may not be good for you or your family, like if you don't have money to spend it, but it helps somebody else, right? You're buying a TV, and that is doing what? Helping the sales of that TV company, which is doing what? Well, people that work at the TV company now have a job and they can sell it. So you can see how money moving around is good for the economy. All right. What was the GI Bill? The GI Bill was an important law passed in 1944. Soldiers were called GIs. After the war, this law provided former GIs with money to attend college and other benefits. Millions bought homes under the GI Bill. The GI Bill turned out to be a good economic investment. Americans became better educated. More people entered white collar jobs. White collar is a name used to describe office workers and professionals. Homes were now affordable for young families. Millions of new homes were built in areas surrounding cities, which were called suburbs. Large numbers of babies were born, creating a baby boom. More children meant that more schools had to be built, creating more jobs for teachers. From 1946 into the 1960s, the United States was the strongest economy in the world. The 2 decades of economic prosperity led to the creation of a large American middle class. Okay, so first thing is the GI Bill helped families that were involved in the military. And the GI Bill still does things like that. It's in existence today. You can get money from the GI Bill if you are in the military to go to college, or other ways of tapping into those resources if you served in the military. Okay. Again, the white collar workers is teachers, doctors, lawyers, people that work basically inside, you might even say, for the most part. Versus blue collar jobs, maybe more like factory workers, or again, maybe using their hands more. I don't want to say just their hands, because there's plenty of blue collar jobs that are sophisticated, um, and requires a lot of mental work. But that's kind of the basic difference. I think you guys get it. So with that money coming around, they're making, all of a sudden, buying little homes and then having families. Well, population growth is actually good for the economy as well, right? If people stop having kids, there's a less of a demand for, let's say, kids' clothing or kids' food, or lots of things that you need for a home. You don't need as much space, so less money is going to be spent. So again, like it or not, population increases actually is good for the economy for the most part, just as long as it's not too big. All right, how did farming help the economy? After World War II, American farmers became the most productive in the world. Using science and technology, American farmers produced a surplus of food. What is surplus? It's when you have more than you need. The government bought much of this surplus and shipped it to Europe. Gas-powered tractors replaced horse and human labor. Scientific research developed grains that could resist disease. Using different machines, a single farmer could plow, plant, seed, and harvest various crops. A farm machine could dig up thousands of potatoes and put them in sacks in a matter of hours. Mechanical pickers harvested fruit. Modern irrigation systems assured that farmers would have enough water. Because of these improvements that saved time and labor, farming became a major part of the nation's growing economy. Okay, so obviously food is going to be really important, and then we're going to be helping Europe out with the food that they need. So that's going to be good for our economy. Basically, these new technologies for helping out with farming made sure we had more than enough food and even enough to sell on the side. So that was a big change for us. I'm going to go over the focus on economics, then I'll read through the review questions. GI Bill of Rights. President Franklin D. Roosevelt signed the Servicemen's Readjustment Act of 1944 on June 22, 1944. This bill, known as the GI Bill of Rights, provided benefits and opportunities to attend college for veterans of World War II. Congress passed the bill because there were concerns about the country having enough jobs for returning war veterans. The bill allowed veterans to attend college rather than look for work immediately. The program for World War II veterans ended in 1956. Many feel that this bill was one of the best laws Congress ever passed. The modern GI Bill has continued to provide scholarships and other benefits to veterans. Okay? So maybe you know somebody in your family that has been in the military, and after serving, a lot of people might enter the military when they're like 18 or 19 years old, and they maybe serve for between 2 and 6 years. And depending on how many years of a program, they get a certain amount of money, and that is definitely used can definitely use to go to college. Okay, and continue their education. All right, let's go through the review questions and the what do you think. Number one, how did the US government use the nation's economic resources during World War II? Okay, so in the very beginning of the chapter, what are they using it all for? To make um, tanks and planes and machine guns, that kind of stuff, right? So everything went towards the war. Number two, why was there a concern about unemployment after the war? Well, there were 12 million people it talked about coming home from the war, and they were afraid of giving all those people jobs. Number three, how did the government try to help provide jobs? Well, the GI Bill did something where they could go to school instead of going into the workforce, so that created more educated Americans. Um, and that's the primary way is the GI Bill. See if I'm missing something for what the government did, because that's what it's asking us about. Um, oh, Full Employment Act, of course. Okay, so you can definitely talk about the GI Bill or the Full Employment Act. Go back and review that. Number four, what did the GI Bill provide for former soldiers? Again, it provided money for them to go to college or get a further education. And why was that good? Well, they wouldn't go right into the workforce. Instead, they could pay for their education, they become more educated, and other people would not lose their jobs. What was the baby boom? With people having jobs and buying TVs or whatever it may be, uh, TVs. I should kind of take that. That's gonna happen, but not quite at this second. Um, More, it's like radios and cars. So let me kind of just hold on to that thought because I use that as an example. But people were having kids, right? They're settling down after the war, marrying, having kids. That's what the baby boom is. And it was a time of economic growth and also population growth. Alrighty, that is it for this section. Oh, let me do this one. Do you think it was a good idea for the federal government to help provide jobs? Why or why not? That's an opinion question. I think the federal government should do its part to help out, um, because we can't always do that ourselves. And if we looked at World War II and the New Deal, the government definitely stepped in, and that did help. Yes, the fact that we went to war is really the biggest solution to our economic problems. And then, but you could take the flip side to that. Is like, maybe we need to be more responsible as citizens and take care of our own through charities. Okay, that is it for today for lesson one.